Welcome. We're really excited to just share with you how we can leverage telehealth in order to increase access to best practice early and intensive comprehensive ABA services. So at the end of this presentation, you will be able to identify the benefits of ABA for your patients. You will be able to identify ways that telehealth can be leveraged to improve access and hopefully better guide your patients when navigating long wait lists and conflicting information. So this event will provide you with one AMA Category 1 credit as well as one MOC point. We will need to ensure that you're actively participating in order to grant these points, and also we will need to receive a completed post-event quiz that we'll send you in your email. So if you keep your cameras off today, that's fine, but we will just look forward to comments in the chat box, questions, or you can save questions till the end of the presentation. We should have time. Okay, so just a quick introduction about myself. I've been working in the field of autism since 2002. I started as a care provider and educational aide in a variety of different settings, home, school, community, and moved into ABA specifically in 2008 as a behavior technician. Soon thereafter, I became a board certified behavior analyst, and I eventually found myself running a center and home-based ABA program in Los Angeles. In 2019, I moved over to Behavior Change Institute in order to fulfill my passion of increasing access to more rural communities than Los Angeles. And also to work together with a team that was passionate about leveraging technology to increase efficiency and cost effectiveness in our field, where I see a lot of waste happening. I'm currently focusing on new client clinical assessments, parent training, community outreach, and supervision of other board certified behavior analysts. And I'm passionate about early intensive ABA treatment programs, verbal behavior skill building, and teaching adaptive living skills. Today, we're going to start with a brief literature review in support of early comprehensive ABA programs. We'll discuss some of the barriers to accessing care and some of the benefits to leveraging telehealth to overcoming those barriers. And then 3 models of telehealth will be presented along with some case vignettes and some videos, to illustrate those treatment models in action. So onto our literature review, there have been many studies that have indicated that ABA programs are the gold standard in autism treatment. They result in best outcomes for children with ASD. They're more effective at increasing language and communication skills than traditional therapies or a mix of therapies. And we know that the most optimal outcomes are seen when intensive ABA starts at a young age. There's a large body of published peer-reviewed research supporting its efficacy in ameliorating the core symptoms of autism. So I'm not going to be able to provide our entire literature here on how effective ABA is today in this context, but it may be helpful for those of you who are practitioners to have some knowledge of just a few seminal articles to support your recommendations to families. So you really will get a lot of questions from parents when you start talking to them about ABA. Some of the questions that practitioners hear are, is it rote? Does it use punishment? Will my child be forced to comply? These are really, really common misconceptions of modern day ABA. And I'll address them a little bit later. They were unfortunately part of some of the original studies. So we have to take that into account. One of the best examples is the Dr. Ivar Lovas's study out of UCLA. So there were some drawbacks to some of the methodologies and things that I mentioned in terms of there was perhaps some punishment involved, but it's really important to note that Lovas demonstrated with this study that with early intensive ABA treatment delivered at a dosage of at least 25 hours per week, 90% of the children substantially improved compared to the control group. Close to half attained an average IQ and tested within the average range on adaptive and social skills. These are kids with autism, and they tested in the average range in social skills. And I also want to point out in this study that the control group still received 10 hours per week of ABA. However, there was minimal to no improvement across tested domains in that group. So this study really demonstrated the absolute necessity of intensive treatment packages when it's clinically indicated. So then in '93, a researcher pretty prolific by the name of McCakin followed up with the participants from that original GLOVOS study and was really excited to report that they had maintained their skills and could really succeed in life without costly special education and residential services. We've had many replications of the GLOVOS study, notably Smith in 2000, which, by the way, was a randomized controlled trial, which is great. Sallows 2005, Cohen 2006. All of these studies found similar outcomes when ABA is applied early and intensively, even without the components of punishment that the original study had, generally between 25 to 40 hours per week for several years. So your patients' families may also love to hear that based on this empirical evidence, many scientific, government, and professional agencies and organizations have concluded that ABA-based procedures represent best practices for individuals with autism and intellectual disability. For example, the American Association on Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities designated ABA-based procedures for the treatment of behavioral problems as highly recommended. The CDC, Centers for Disease Control, indicated that a notable treatment approach for people with an ASD is called applied behavior analysis. The National Institute of Mental Health noted that ABA has become widely recognized as an effective treatment for individuals with autism. And even the Surgeon General of the United States stated that 30 years of research has demonstrated the efficacy of ABA methods in reducing inappropriate behavior and in increasing communication, learning, and appropriate social behavior. So it really follows that with all of this support and evidence, families will want to seek out these services as soon as they can. However, one of the barriers to accessing care is the geographic location of a family, which I know a lot of us practice in states with a lot of rural areas. According to the World Health Organization, geographic location is one of the main contributing factors to whether an individual with a disability will receive access to treatment. So even though nearly 1/4 of the US population lives in rural areas, only about 10% of physicians practice in rural America. Rural Americans face a unique combination of factors that create disparities in healthcare not found in urban areas. Some other barriers to accessing high quality care include economic factors, cultural and social differences, educational shortcomings, lack of recognition by legislators, as well as sheer isolation. Among the resources that are scarce in rural areas is the availability of specialty care providers. To illustrate this, I'd like to expand those numbers in the ABA industry a bit. So according to the CDC, we have now 1 in 44 children with autism. To put this in perspective, if you look at the population of New Mexico, where I practice, who is under 18, that means there are around 13,000 children who may be diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. 13,000 in New Mexico alone. So then if you look at the recent reports of the Behavior Analyst Certification Board, there are 132 board certified behavior analysts in New Mexico. That would leave about 97 clients per BCBA. In our industry, the standard caseload for a BCBA is 10, 20 at the most. There are 700 registered behavior technicians in New Mexico. An average caseload for a technician is 1 to 2 clients. Somehow each would need to serve 19 clients to see all 13,000 children with autism. This doesn't take into account drive time, technician breaks, session prep time, team meetings, trainings, illnesses, vacation, additional adult client populations, and on and on. In Montana, we've got 71 BCBAs. Alabama has 79, and North Dakota only 61. So really the math is just absolutely impossible right now. So one solution to provider shortages has been to transition some of the services to that telehealth model. There are really a lot of benefits to telehealth, and one of the most cited benefits is the ability for telehealth to address health access disparities to treat patients in rural and underserved communities. So as I alluded to earlier, we have an estimated 124 million Americans, so 38% of the population living in mental health professional shortage areas. And these families then face these barriers, and it requires them to take time off work, find childcare, and travel to access care. All things that may be possible for a once-a-year MRI, but is not possible for a 40-hour-a-week ABA program. So due to these access barriers, these families really experience a significant delay in accessing service or do not access services at all. And really, as I mentioned before, early intensive intervention is key to best outcomes. So beyond addressing health access disparities, moving on, telehealth can also aid in addressing provider burnout by reducing travel time required for a BCBA to provide clinical direction and caregiver training. You know, provider burnout and turnover are significant issues for our healthcare system at large, particularly in the home-based care models. Reducing travel time really could improve provider satisfaction and reduce burnout. Telehealth-based mentoring programs such as Project ECHO have successfully connected rural providers with non-local healthcare experts, which helps to reduce provider isolation and burnout that rural healthcare providers often experience as well. In addition, telehealth service delivery models can offer continuity of care in a variety of situations. The most recent being during public health emergencies, but also during inclement weather that inhibits safe travel, continuity for military families who have a permanent change of station, or for individuals transitioning from a higher level of care back into the community setting. Families living in urban areas can also benefit from telehealth service delivery models. Patients with ASD have really complex healthcare needs that often require a multidisciplinary team of specialty providers. Telehealth can really enhance the service delivery of ABA services by bringing specialty care knowledge directly to the patients and families to treat complex cases related to challenging behaviors, sleep disturbances, feeding interventions, and many more, which we have seen in a lot of the research recently. Telehealth may also lower healthcare costs for organizations or the healthcare system. Costs associated with travel may include fuel, vehicle maintenance, hotel, salary costs, and meals for extended travel. In one study, I really like this study a lot, 2 telehealth parent coaching models, telehealth clinic and telehealth home, were compared with in-person parent coaching home-based services. And researchers found that telehealth and in-person parent coaching were similarly effective in reducing child challenging behavior. However, both telehealth models were almost 50% more efficient in producing the desired reductions in the behavior. Children in the telehealth model achieved an average of 90% reduction in problem behaviors in 9 weeks, as opposed to an average of 17 weeks for children in the in-person model, which really could translate to a ton of additional cost savings for healthcare funders, families, and providers. So we're going to need additional comparison studies, but it's really, the results are very promising. So while there are many benefits to leveraging a telehealth model, there are potential limitations that really do warrant discussion. For example, some families may have limited access to or comfort with technological devices that are needed for a telehealth visit. They may have connectivity issues. In addition, there may be a modality preference of in-person services or just limited cultural acceptance of conducting virtual visits. Another consideration is just there are interstate licensure challenges and other regulatory issues that may vary by state, which really just increases the complexity for organizations working in multiple states. With regard to treatment setting considerations, there are always situations in which in-person visits are more appropriate due to urgency, underlying health conditions, or just maybe an inability to perform an adequate assessment over telehealth. And last, there may be the need to address sensitive topics in person rather than over telehealth, especially if there's patient discomfort or concern for privacy. So here at where I work, Behavior Change Institute, we have sought to overcome these barriers I've described by leveraging telehealth in New Mexico and Texas to increase the overall access to our client populations. And, just as there is a large body of research to support efficacy for in-person ABA, telehealth delivered services are becoming more and more supported within research, and Behavior Change Institute has contributed published research in this area. Some of the research thus far has included a variety of participants delivering the intervention, so teachers can deliver, parents, and of course, behavior technicians. Many teaching methods have proven effective over telehealth, including behavior assessments, functional communication training, discrete trial training, preference assessments, and really many different settings have proven effective and appropriate for telehealth interventions. As Behavior Change Institute has been implementing telehealth for 10 years prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, we were in the unique position to share our expertise in this area as more and more service providers transitioned to telehealth in 2020. We led the work groups on both the practice guidelines and telehealth organizational guidelines through the Council for Autism Service Providers. These guidelines have been published in order to standardize practice, ensure quality of care, and help guide ABA practitioners in the implementation of ABA via telehealth. So information like this just may really help ease the concerns of families you're working with when they're considering ABA delivered via telehealth. And before we get into the different models of ABA services, I just want to address something I mentioned earlier about the misconceptions of ABA so that you can better educate families you're working with. A quick Google search, which most families might do when first faced with a diagnosis of autism, can lead them down a rabbit hole of opinions, ranging from, ABA is a miracle cure, down to ABA is abuse, which, I believe are both false in their own right. What's really missing from these surface level searches is what ABA actually looks like on a day-to-day basis. And we're going to see some examples in a few minutes. It really is therefore a referring practitioner's duty to fully inform families, of the risks, but also the benefits of any effective treatment, and educate them how that treatment may be delivered. The right information delivered to a family at a critical time can really change the trajectory of a child's life. So your families may want to know that gone are the days of hours of rote responding at the table. Punishment is obviously no longer used. We focus on socially significant goal areas. We use supports and interventions that are evidence-based and positive, and we include client assent within all of our interactions. Last, we make sessions fun and engaging as possible. Okay, so let's move on to the different ways treatment may be delivered. There are 3 primary telehealth service delivery models, and synchronous and asynchronous modalities can be implemented in isolation or in combination within these models. So let's look at them. The first model is in-person direct services with telehealth clinical direction. In this model, a technician delivers services in person to the patient, and the behavior analyst provides synchronous or asynchronous clinical direction remotely. So synchronous clinical direction might involve real-time protocol modifications or performance feedback. Asynchronous clinical direction might involve the BCBA reviewing video or data from a session with or without the RBT present and providing feedback and clinical direction. So within this model, research has shown that ABA services can effectively be rendered in person, obviously by a technician, teachers, or parents, with the behavior analyst's clinical direction via telehealth. This includes teaching these individuals to implement a variety of assessments, including functional analyses, functional behavior assessments, preference assessments, discrete trial teaching, and in a variety of settings, clinic, home, school, and so on. Studies have also established that behavior analytic procedures can effectively be implemented under this model for individuals aged 2 to 29 years old to build language, imitation, social, and daily living skills, as well as reduce different forms of challenging behaviors. I'm not going to show videos of this model because it will look very similar to a traditional in-person ABA model with simply the clinician on telehealth. I have video examples of the next two models. Okay, so the next model here. Patients with the prerequisite skills may benefit from services delivered directly to them via synchronous modalities. And this is what the second model we call direct telehealth services. Under this model, the patient joins the provider, so the BCBA or the RBT, via synchronous video conferencing with real-time audio and visual capabilities. In some circumstances, the patient may join the provider via synchronous audio capabilities only, which is known as telephonic care. And telehealth direct services can be provided in a one-to-one setting or in something like a 2-to-1 or a social skills group, and may be combined with asynchronous modalities for enhanced remote patient monitoring. So while direct telehealth research in ABA is emerging, related disciplines have successfully implemented direct telehealth services to children, adolescents, and adults with autism and intellectual and developmental disabilities. Within the ABA research literature, direct telehealth service delivery has been successfully leveraged to implement natural environment teaching and discrete trial teaching protocols to teach new skills to individuals. Patients from ages 3 to 43 have successfully participated in direct treatment in one-to-one settings, as well as dyad arrangements, and acquired skills across various adaptive, language, social domains using these direct synchronous ABA teaching sessions. Researchers have also provided synchronous audio-only feedback covertly to patients. These studies are really fun. Synchronous audio technology, often discussed in the literature as bug in the ear, can be paired with synchronous video conferencing to aid in the generalizations of skills to like social and workplace settings. For example, covert audio coaching has been used to provide feedback to individuals to increase task engagement in workplace settings and their workplace on-task skills. It's also been successfully used to teach social skills to high school and college students in natural social settings with peers. Okay, so to illustrate the model of direct services via telehealth, here's a video of one of our BCBA clinicians delivering direct treatment to the patient. The video will show a basic Google website created with lessons about emotional regulation. Just so you know, they are going to be in the top right corner. It will be hard to see them because they've blocked out some of that video. But the clinician is using the screen and her mouse to guide the patient's attention. So you'll see here in this video.
So first, we can close our eyes. You don't have to close your eyes, but if it helps you to remember, you can. And we want to think back to a time when we were really angry. Okay. So I'm going to need angry. Yeah. You feel in your body when you're feeling angry. Okay. And then here's where our picture is going to come in. Then we will draw them on the diagram. Do we write it down on like another piece of paper? No, you can draw right down the sky. So you have yours and I have mine. And this is where So you can use colors, you can use shapes, you can use other drawings to show how your anger feels for you. Okay.
Okay, I'm done.
You're done? Okay. Who wants to go first?
Okay. So another example of telehealth direct through our social skills group. In this video, you will see that the clients are playing a cooperative game of Connect 4. They're in pairs and have categorized themselves as red team and yellow team and are practicing their communication and problem-solving skills. The intervention is being delivered directly by the registered behavior technician.
If we do role 4, aka red team, can get a can have an advantage. Wait, so they were the red team. They are yellow? All right, I forgot. Okay, so maybe we should go on number 4. I guess. Well, I don't know. Going there could be really risky, because then they could win. Wait. So if we go down, eat this slow, the really way down. If we go down, that's down too, but we still have an advantage to stop them. Correct.
So where am I putting it for you guys?
Four.
You guys are going for it? Ooh, that was really, really awesome how you guys talked with each other and said what you were thinking to pick the best one. I'm proud of you guys. All right.
Okay, and the last video to demonstrate this model is another social skills group with some older clients, some of our advanced learners. Now, I know this presentation, we're talking a lot about early intensive intervention, but it is helpful to show how some of our more advanced learners may access treatment through telehealth as well.
That's the question.
Okay.
Let's think about what question about seasons.
What's your favorite season? My favorite season is definitely summer and winter.
Why?
Because summer can make me have a vacation, and it can also make me have the access to go swimming. And on winter, I can make a snow angel, and I can do snowball fights.
Those were great questions. Do you want to ask what his favorite season is?
What's your favorite season? My favorite season is winter. Because
They are so cute and funny. I love it. Okay, so now on to the third model of telehealth services we'll discuss today, caregiver-mediated services. Within that, there are different ways of delivering this treatment. So it can be in the form of parent training, traditional parent training. It can be in the form of the parent implementing the actual full treatment with in vivo coaching. And obviously also involves immediate feedback to the caregiver when interacting or providing interventions with their child. Really, caregivers were the original implementers of any strategies delivered via telehealth, ages ago when we started this. They've been trained to implement a variety of teaching methods with really children from 19 months to adulthood. These could include man training, discrete trial instruction, preference assessments, incidental teaching, and really to teach a variety of skills, which could include joint attention, language, communication, imitation, and play skills. Caregivers have been successfully coached via telehealth to implement even complex procedures, including a functional analysis, functional communication training, and other procedures to assess and reduce challenging behaviors, which could even include aggression, self-injury, and property destruction. So in this video, you will see two providers. That's because the one speaking is an intern pursuing her certification of, as a BCBA, and the one with the camera off is providing supervision for her. In this video, the intern is coaching the father to set up the environment prior to a play session and coaching him to provide manding opportunities for his daughter.
All of them, just so she doesn't get frustrated, but you can definitely keep like a little bit of a pile next to you so she.
Tell Daddy anymore. Good job. More books. You want Daddy to hold it? Here, I'll hold it because it's starting to fall. Yeah, I think he was happy about that. Are you done or you want more blocks? Tell Daddy you need more. Okay. How about a handful of blocks?
Oh, what a great parent. Okay, in this next example, again, this is an older patient. However, I think it's important to see the model of the RBT delivering the treatment via telehealth with the caregiver assisting with prompts and support as needed.
I'm going to give you a token for that. Perfect.
Good job.
So, will you please sweep the kitchen?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay. Okay.
So, are there any spots that still have dirt?
Yeah, there's still, you could get, you know, those specks right there and those right here. All right. Looks pretty doggone clean to me.
Okay, in this last model, you'll see the caregiver implementing all of the treatment protocols with the registered behavior technician directing the caregiver through each of the steps of providing the treatment.
What is this? Yes, sir. What is this?
It's you.
It's shoes. Good job. Here's another token. And another orange. Ta-da. Ready? What's this?
And
These are shorts.
like one.
They're like pants, but they're short. What's this?
It's like
It is a slide. Good job. Here, have ducks.
the orange one.
And the next one, we'll do the one that he like doesn't know. We'll ask him, "What's this?" And then if he knows it, then we'll do yes and no questions. So you'll do "What's this?" and then he'll answer it, and then you'll hold it down so he doesn't see it, and then re-present it, and then say, is this a blank? Yeah.
Alternate between.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. What is it?
Dragon.
Dragon. Ready? Is this a car?
No,
Very good. That was great. And we need to remember to do the mini preference assessments before every activity, because this way he knows what he's working for. So we can ask him if he wants to play with cards
Want to
afterwards.
check card afterward?
Okay, there we go.
Cards is what we're working for, and we're gonna work from shape. Okay?
I just love that video. Okay, so as we're wrapping up, just to summarize, there are many ways that telehealth can be used to implement medically necessary ADA services to suit the needs of the individual patient. We can provide in-person direct with telehealth clinical direction, in which the RBT is in person and the clinician is providing direction via telehealth. The second model is telehealth direct service and telehealth clinical direction, where everyone is on Zoom. The next one is what we just saw, caregiver implementing the services with coaching from the RBT and the BCBA. And then finally, we can leverage telehealth to provide caregiver training and consultation, as we saw as well. I really hope that you all have gained some knowledge and are able to improve your practice when discussing treatment options with your families. You know, your patients diagnosed or potentially diagnosed with autism are really likely to benefit from best practices in treatment, which is a program based in the foundation of applied behavior analysis. Those programs that are applied early in life and are intensive at a rate of 25 to 40 hours per week, rather than an eclectic combination of therapies, are proven to be the most effective and the most life-changing. ABA should be flexible and fun for your patient and for their parents. And targets and goals should be chosen for your patient based on the needs of the individual and the family unit, making this treatment highly socially significant. If you're working in New Mexico or Texas and have patients that are trying to access treatment, feel free to have them go to our website and they can navigate there and schedule an intake call. We also accept emails or faxes directly to this email address here from physicians, and then we can reach out to families if that's preferable. Now we have time for questions or comments. Feel free to speak up or type your question in the chat box.
I have a quick question.
Yes, go for it.
Have you had any difficulty with telehealth being covered by any insurance carriers?
Oh, great question. Yes. So prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, it was funder specific. We're in a very fortunate space in New Mexico where New Mexico Medicaid is very generous and also allows telehealth delivered services. So prior to the pandemic, we were leveraging telehealth quite a bit. Since the pandemic, I do believe most funders have opened up the option of telehealth, and you would just have to get an agreement with each funder specifically.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you again, everybody. And I hope to see you all at the next presentation.
Thank you. It was very interesting.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.